Hello and welcome to this episode of the REBT Advocates with Dr. Michael R. Edelstein of 3minutetherapy.com. You can find his book, 3 Minute Therapy, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life at therebt.life. Links below. And I am Tommy Bateman. I am a counselor based out of Virginia. You can find our links and ways to contact us and get counseling potentially. And of course, you can email us both at rebtadvocates@gmail.com. So today, Michael, we wanted to talk about the myth of going from A to C, and we'll get to what that means. But first, Michael, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce myself more formally. I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein. I have 40 years experience helping people with rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT. And you can find my practice link and 3 Minute Therapy link, my book, in the description below.
Excellent. So, Michael, there's a myth that the alphabet goes from A to C. I think we can dispel that notion right away. There's a B in between there, but why don't you help elucidate this issue? If that's a
Okay,
word.
great. And that's a good outline for us, Tommy. A stands for activating event or a situation you're in. And and then there's a B, which we'll speak about shortly. That's belief. And there's C, undesirable emotional or behavioral consequences. The myth is that A, situation causes C, the consequences. And this is an epidemic. It's a pandemic, worse than the coronavirus, because it's been a myth and a misconception throughout all history, throughout all cultures. People believe that situations can upset you.
Where do you think
For
that comes
example,
from?
I think it comes from the seen and the unseen.
Mm-hmm.
What I see is you calling me an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I see, or what is obvious to me, I feel hurt. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see what I'm thinking. So this was a brilliant insight in earlier days by the Stoic philosophers. Epictetus was a notable one,
Mm-hmm.
and Albert Ellis popularized it in the form of rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT, and then the cognitive behavior therapists followed suit and explained, as we do, that it's not the situation that causes your hurt feelings, but rather it's your thinking about it. And just some illustrations of how it sounds when people have the A causes C misconception. Marty Nemko in something he wrote about playing cards, he says it requires concentration, but not so much that it's stressful. So, in other words, the amount of concentration leads to stress, nothing about what you're telling yourself. Or Karen Kwiatkowski, in one of her many political blogs, says the political environment is scary. A causes C. This political environment is scaring us.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Woods, in his popular podcast, said recently, the filthy, disgusting college students are who made me miserable. So
Yeah.
it's he's powerless. It's the fault of the college students. Or Barbara Demick, in her very interesting book, Eat the Buddha, about Tibet, wrote, His Holiness, the way they insult him, it gives pain to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people are powerless. I get, I
Yeah.
guess the environment is doing it to them. So maybe that's another reason for them to lock themselves down in their apartment and
Well,
not go out.
and you know what? And beyond just people having poor emotional health, the A causes C myth actually affects even political policy. It goes to if A causes C, if the activating event or the environment causes the emotional or behavioral consequence, therefore, the only thing we can do is manipulate the environment through some sort of force. Therefore, we will prevent those emotional and behavioral consequences by sheer just changing what's going on around them or outlawing some speech or you name it, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, that's a very good point. And the assumption, I agree with you, Tommy. The assumption underlying cancel culture, snowflakes, safe spaces, microaggressions, and
Hmm.
trigger warnings involves this fundamental misunderstanding of
Yes,
how emotions work.
exactly. Exactly. So, how do emotions work, Michael?
Well, emotions, as we learned in the third grade, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never harm me.
Mhm.
So names cannot harm you emotionally. And Epictetus explains it's our opinions, not events, that upset us. That Eleanor Roosevelt has said, no one can insult you without your consent. So a
Mhm.
few people had it right, but it took Albert Ellis in modern psychotherapy to popularize this misconception.
Mhm.
People's disapproval of you only consists of thoughts in their heads, and their thoughts can hurt you. They
Indeed.
can't diminish you. If Tommy calls me an idiot, I'm still the same Michael Edelstein I was before he called me an idiot. As
Mm.
I tell my patients, if someone calls you a giraffe, do you then agree and check yourself into the zoo? Of course not. Well, it's the same with this. If someone insults you, don't agree with them and you won't be emotionally disturbed.
And I like to use an example when it comes to, for example, physically strenuous, for lack of a better way of putting it, mental and physical challenges. Uh, I I like to use those examples. For example, Hell Week um, in the Navy SEAL training. See, those guys, they're not doing it for their health. So Hell Week, if you're not familiar, is 7 days where they probably sleep a total of 20 minutes a day, eat very little, run and exercise the entire time under high degrees of challenge to work together as a team to just get through it, not give up, and because they can give up at any time and quit SEAL training. That's one thing they can do. If you want Hell Week to end, well, all you got to do is ring that bell and you can go on. They don't do that for their health. And if you consult a doctor or a physical trainer, they would say that's not a good way of getting stronger or healthier. So why do they do it? Well, it's to test their ability to think themselves through those difficult situations. So they become mentally tougher by saying, I don't like this, or maybe they say, I do like this, but I don't like this. However, it's not the end of the world. I can do this. I can get through it. Uh, because the opposite, those people that ring the bell, they tell themselves, I can't stand this. Therefore, I'm going to quit.
Yeah, that's very good, Tommy. To put it another way, there are positive aspects of name calling and nasty words. And that is, it gives you an opportunity to practice unconditional self acceptance.
Mhm.
No matter what anyone else thinks of you, that's just their thoughts in their head, and they cannot diminish you as a person. You're still the same imperfect human you were before, have always been, and will always be.
And then
Also,
you can
yeah,
apply
go
it to
on.
the other person that called you the names and say you can do unconditional other acceptance. They're the flawed human being, yeah, as well as you, and there's no reason why they should act differently. I don't like what they did, but that doesn't make them a better or worse person. It's simply what they done. And now you're not as angry or disappointed or upset that way.
Exactly. And also, another advantage of this is uh, it's a difference of opinion. If
Mhm.
someone calls you an idiot, you have a difference of opinion, and it's important to discuss it. You can discuss it and ask, uh, why do you say that? What makes you think that? Let's discuss it and then find out what's behind it and discuss what's behind it.
So I have a feeling people would want to push back and say, no, Michael, there are some events that are, by their very nature, a human cannot act any differently. So the A does cause the C. What about when I'm tortured? What about when my child's tortured? What about this or that? Or when I win the lottery? I should be extremely happy. All humans are extremely happy when they win the lottery. What would you say to that?
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a very important point because it's not that unusual. When I explain this to someone, they say, "You mean if you're tortured, you're not going to be disturbed? If you're hiking and a mountain lion crosses your path, you're not going to be scared?" So what we're saying is we're talking about causation. We're
Mhm.
not talking about what you're going to do about it or the likelihood you're going to be successful. What we're saying is if a lion crosses your path and you're scared, you create that emotion. We're
Yes.
not saying you're going to beat up the lion or anything,
No.
or that you're not going to feel scared.
Yeah.
Since you're human, you may very well feel scared. We're talking about where that emotion comes from. It comes from your thinking, not from the lion.
Yes. So let's say we all humans universally felt scared when the lion pops out in front of them, and let's just say we polled every single person or put a lion in front of every person in the world, and they all got scared. That still does not change the fact that the activating event flows through the belief in every human's head, leading to that scared emotion. That's it. Not saying that you don't have to be scared or you shouldn't be scared or you can control that fear, which you might be able to do actually practicing it. Um, but we are saying that the B is still there no matter what.
Exactly. Shall I let you have the last word on that, Tommy? Because I think we can conclude very shortly.
Yeah. So, guys, when you're looking at other treatment modalities, I'm not discrediting the fact that exercise helps, eating well helps, sleeping well helps, um, perhaps even doing some deep thought about events, trying to find causes for why you are the way you are. That may all be beneficial to you. Meditation may be beneficial to you. Medications, psychotropic medications absolutely helps people. But what is the fundamental cause of emotion? It is the belief, and we can't get away from that, Michael.
That's right. That's right. Thank you very much, Tommy, for participating in this with me. He's Tommy Bateman, REBT therapist. I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein, REBT therapist. And we're here regularly or sometimes irregularly
Yeah.
for our YouTube episodes and podcasts. If you have any questions or you liked the video, please comment below or ask questions or air your objections. Suggest subjects for future 3 minute for future REBT advocates episodes. Volunteer. And one thing you can do to volunteer that we haven't mentioned, but one of our viewers suggested, if you'd like to send us your 3 minute exercises, the ABCDEF, for our feedback, we would certainly consider it.
Absolutely.
And to help support us, please donate to Patreon and subscribe to the REBT Advocates to stay on the rational side of life.